I think we are live. It looks fine to me here. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Wednesday, hump day. It is the breast sleeping Q&A. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to let everybody jump in here and can't wait to see you. Oh, I've already got guests waiting in the chat room. Hello, Nicole. There you are. Yeah, she's going to be our first guest. Fantastic. You just wait there for a minute, sweetheart. Okay. So, hi everyone. I am Shari Criso, and I am back here with you for another episode of our breast sleeping Q&A that we just love doing with all of you, and I know you all look forward to. From the looks of all these questions that have come in once again, and I can see my internet is acting a little funny today. So is yours, Rebecca.
Oh, me as well.
Yeah, it looks a little pixelated. I can't tell if it's on my end or yours, but hey, listen, as long as you can hear us, you don't really need to see us, do you? It might be better. Who knows, right? It might be better.
Ooh, speak for yourself.
I would have just, next time we'll do that. We'll do a podcast, right?
That'd be good.
Hi, everyone. Hi, ladies. Welcome. Well, I'm sitting here, and first of all, for all of you who are new, let me just introduce myself again. I'm Shari Criso. As you can see, I am the booby guru. Okay, that's what we have officially named ourselves, and Rebecca, the sleep guru. I'm a registered nurse, a certified nurse midwife, and an international board certified lactation consultant. I've been taking care of mommies and babies in pretty much every capacity for about 27 years. Yes, it has been that long. And I'm very happy to welcome back my favorite guest partner, a guru person next to me is Rebecca Michi. So Rebecca, please introduce yourself.
Hey, I am Rebecca Michi, children's sleep consultant and author based in Seattle. Work with people over the entire planet. I am a mother to 2 teenagers who actually, when I came to leave to my office, they were both still in bed. So it does completely change. Mm-hmm. And gentle, no cry sleep consultant. Super happy to be here as always with Shari and our amazing sponsors. This breastfeeding and sleep are it, really, aren't they? Especially when you have a newborn, there's 3 things that you're thinking about: food for your baby, sleep, and poop. We are not going to be talking about poop today.
Although we do talk about poop.
We certainly do. Yeah, we do, but we neither of us are poop specialists. So, thank goodness.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, I want to see that next time. Shari, Ruby/poop guru.
Poopy guru. All right, we're getting completely off track here.
We really are, sorry.
Well, listen, what goes in must come out, right? So, you can't really choose one without the other. It kind of
No, it's true.
But to your point, Rebecca, you're absolutely right. All kidding aside here, there really is nothing more important to know about and to get your questions answered about than feeding and sleeping and poop, but feeding and sleeping. And that's why we do this with all of you. And I know it's made a huge difference. You guys have come back to us and told us this has helped you through your journey. And to know that it is even helping one of you, let alone all of you guys, okay, just makes us super happy, and we're glad to do it. So, and yes, we have amazing sponsors, partners, brands who make all of this possible and always have for all these years. And so today we have Love to Dream and Breast Support Pillow, 2 of my favorite products on the market for nursing and new parents, but also just amazing people behind the products who've made these out of, labor of love, like really just wanting to help people, wanting to make life easier for new moms and make life better for babies. So they've done that with their amazing products. And we're going to show you those in a few minutes. There's Love to Dream. Hi. Yay. So they're here in the chat room. We have great prizes for you today. We're going to be giving away 3 of the Love to Dream sleep sacks. So we're gonna have the either you're gonna get your choice, and I'll again go over that in a few minutes, and also a breast support pillow And then I know Rebecca always gives away one of her prizes. And what would that be?
It's going to be a 3-month subscription to my membership site. It's currently going a little bit of an overhaul, but all the content is the same, and you get 3 months worth of membership to the member site, which is all gentle sleep, respectful parenting, super supportful.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. I think that is just an amazing gift that all of you guys should be looking to get. And I think Miranda is here in the chat. Should we go ahead and answer Miranda's question while she's waiting? The screen looks up, so I'm not sure if she's actually there. I'm going to wait till I can see her face because I think there's a problem with her video. Let's wait for a minute, okay?
Okay.
So let's answer a question, and then we'll come back to the prizes and go over them for a little while, okay? How about that? The first question came in, but before we do that, can I find out where everybody's from? Because we have people from all over the world, and this is like my favorite part of watching where you're all from, to know that we can all come together, especially in today's day and age where, you know, there's so much separations you can feel, that we are all the same, that we are all here together. We're all interested in the same thing and really here to support one another. And I loved this afternoon, sidetrack again, this afternoon I read a comment in my private Facebook group. And if you're not part of my group, please make sure that you join, okay? I read a comment from a new mom who just joined as a member, and she said what she loved so much was being able to join a community where it was all about helping and supporting each other, like, and lifting each other. What did she say? And lifting each other up. And it's so rare to find that, especially on the internet. But it's really what we have here. And so I just love it. And seeing where all of you guys are from is fantastic. Thank you. Yes, I'm seeing it. Fantastic. Yay. Okay. All right. What?
Are there any members?
Joe's asking, are there any members of the group here in the chat? I'm sure. Let's hear from you. If you're members of the group, if you're not, you can say no, but soon, because after we're done here, you're going to go join, right? And join us in there.
Well, Samantha is from England, and so she'll be watching the game after we're done here as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, Rebecca's in a hurry to get off because of the game. All right.
Yes.
Let's answer Beverly's question, okay? She said, hi, Shari. My little one is turning 4 months old this month. I will go back to work at the end of the month. He wants to be nursed until he falls asleep in the side lying position. And her worry is that she can't do that anymore because, you know, she's going to need to be at work, obviously. So any tips on making my little one sleep longer without nursing him? And she also bottle feeds him and using her milk stash, but he's just playing with the nipple. Any tips on choosing the right bottle for him? So
okay,
couple things going on there. Should I start?
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah.
You know, one thing that whenever you're thinking about the baby wanting to be comforted or to fall asleep at the breast, and you know, like, okay, well, what am I going to do when I go back to work? There are other things that you can start introducing, because really, what is that baby looking for? The baby's looking for comfort. They're looking for that, what I know Rebecca calls that touch time, where they're just having that time being held and wanting to feel secure. And a 4-month-old, absolutely, of course they want that. It's actually something you would be more concerned if they didn't want it. And I'm going to say that because it's a normal, natural response in a healthy baby to want to be held, to want to crave that time of closeness. Okay, we want them to feel like that because that's the sign that they're actually bonding with you, that they're actually responsive, psychologically doing what they're supposed to do. That's the developmental milestone of knowing that they're close. And so we want to see that. Okay. So one of the things that you could do is start substituting. Substitute that nursing, because that's what they're used to. Okay, if you've been doing that, then that's the way they know that they're being close, right? So you've actually trained them to want that as the closeness. But obviously, if you're not there, someone else needs to substitute in something else, right? One way would be to start wearing the baby. Okay, because baby wearing has very similar impacts on a baby. Okay, where the baby's still feeling that closeness without the nipple in their mouth. And it's something that someone else, like your childcare provider, your husband, your mother, whoever's going to be watching the baby, that they could do as well. And if you start getting the baby used to baby wearing, maybe to sleep versus nursing to sleep, it's something that can be continued once you return back to work. So I love, finding ways that you're still providing your baby's needs while at the same time finding that balance that you need to have for your life. And life does change day by day. And if you're going back to work, it really changes. But that doesn't mean things come to an end. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with all of that. The baby wearing, I think, is really, really important and is a great way to help your child sleep, especially with a child who's so young, and even children who are older. Kids love being worn, and it's just that closeness, it's the movement, they're snug in there, and so that will actually help them sleep. So definitely baby wearing. But whenever you are going from having one way of helping your child to sleep, as whether that's with nursing, and you need to move away from that because you're no longer going to be there. Don't think you have to, the next step is your child falling asleep independently. It's not. It can be being rocked, being held, being in the carrier. It's not sort of a going from, well, we're going for this, and the alternative is to have them being completely independent. A 4-month-old to be completely independent with long naps is very, very unusual. Short naps are completely normal up until naps begin to develop, which is between 4 and 6 months. So even a 6-month-old with short naps is completely normal. So it's finding an alternative that you're comfortable with, but also that your childcare provider is comfortable with, and then sticking with that. And remember, as with anything with parenting, we have our goal. Then our goal is to bring up our children to be nice, respectful human beings. That's what we want. And it's not just that giant leap. We are sort of crawling our way there day by day. And it's the same with any single, every single step that we reach within this journey. We're not leaping anywhere. We're just sort of, we're slowly, steadily going the way that we need to be going. So with respect to the needing to be moving away from feeding, the goal is, yes, at some point they are going to be sleeping independently, but you may have 10 steps in between that. And so that's really what we want to be looking at, is these little steps, what we can do, these little steps to make our end goal. We're still heading in the right direction. It just makes things a little bit easier for you.
Totally. Let's get some hearts going across the screen. I want to see some love flying around here as I am in my choppy video, I can see. Yes, and I'll come back to the second part of this question, but I want to come to Miranda because she's in the chat here. And if anybody else wants to jump in, ask your question live. I see you posting them. We'll try to get to some of them here in the chat room. But if you want to get on and actually interact and comment here, get on the video with us and ask live. We love to see your face. So I'm going to do that right now. And hopefully that doesn't throw the whole video off here. Okay, Miranda, are you ready? I'm going to pull you in, sweetheart. Here we go. There we go.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Miranda.
I was wondering, I know they talk a lot about like the vitamin D supplements, but I didn't know how needed they actually are.
Yeah. Great question.
That is a great question.
It was somebody else. Did you post that question to me?
Yeah, I posted that.
That was okay, great. So I'll answer it once. Perfect. So vitamin D, when people ask me, do they need to take vitamins or anything in particular supplementation because the breast milk is lacking something that I would need to do? The only real one that I would say is true is vitamin D. Vitamin D is not naturally in the breast milk unless you are getting vitamin D yourself. So the baby really will need to be supplemented with vitamin D, or you need to be taking a supplement that is enough to make the breast milk consistency high enough in vitamin D. And this is really, really important. And unfortunately, it's not always gone over with every mom, and that can cause some really bad problems where babies can develop fractures and other things. So it's important that this is really important to make sure the baby's getting it. Either you're going to supplement your baby with 400 units of vitamin D in the form of drops each day, okay? And you don't want to skip days, like you want to do it every day. Or the research has shown that you could yourself be taking 6,400 units per day. If you were to take a supplement of at least 6,400 units per day, there'll be enough in your breast milk, but you've got to take it every single day. Okay. So a lot of moms choose not to give the drops, decide they're just going to take the supplement themselves. And I would be totally fine with that. That's what I did when I was nursing. And that what we've seen is that the breast milk does have enough at that level. But, you know, the recommendations are low. I mean, if you look at your prenatal, it might have like 400 units or even 800, which is not nearly close to what we're talking about. We're talking 6,400 units a day. And then your milk will have the adequate amount for your baby. The other misconception is that if I have my blood work checked and my levels are high enough, like over 25 or over 50 in vitamin D, then I don't need to supplement my milk. And that's absolutely wrong as well. What we're testing in the blood is not the same as what is going to be in the milk from a supplementation. So even though your levels may be high enough and you may be getting it from sun exposure, you still have to get a lot of sun exposure to get the concentration of at least 400 units in the milk to the baby every day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't mix those two things up. Yes, you want to get tested. Yes, you want to make sure that your levels are high enough. And honestly, if you were just taking 6,400, you could kind of save your money and not do the testing.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
It's a really easy way to prevent some really serious consequences in your baby. And there have been babies who literally have fractures, unexplained fractures, just because moms are breastfeeding and not supplementing, have been accused of child abuse, have had their babies taken away. I've read some stories that I just can't even believe.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Thanks.
Miranda, so you're going to win the 3-month sleep from Rebecca.
3 months sleep.
Thank you.
3 months of sleeping.
Thank you.
3 months of Sleep Academy. Fantastic. Thanks for jumping in, and great question.
It's a great question.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's get on to, let's talk a little bit about Love to Dream, shall we? See, speaking of sleep and speaking of comforting your baby in other ways than breastfeeding, Love to Dream, Swaddle Up, okay? Have you guys seen this Love to Dream? If you've been following me for a while, you have seen the Love to Dream. This is the Swaddle Up, okay? This is the swaddle suit, and I call it a suit because you're actually zipping the baby into it instead of a swaddle blanket that you would be wrapping around the baby multiple times, okay? That allows the baby, and this is the big part about the Swaddle Up, is that Swaddle Up means hands up in a more natural position where babies can self-soothe, where babies' hands want to be. If you look at a baby in the womb, this is where their hands are. If you look at a baby, if you just lie them down on a mattress, the first thing they do is put their hands up because this is a natural position of where they like to sleep. I sleep like that, Rebecca. I mean, when I lay down, I want to putting my arms up. It's a comfortable. Who sleeps with their arms straight down at their sides?
No one.
No one. You know,
yeah.
This is a comfortable, not only comfortable position for baby, but it allows the baby to self-soothe, which means they can bring hand to midline, to face, to stroke their cheek, to suck on their hands. But at the same time, it gives them that restriction that they need to suppress the Moro reflex, or that startle reflex that they get when you lay them down. And it's a trigger in a baby. It's a reflex that they can't help, but it makes them startle and it wakes them up. So being able to keep their arms up, but also soothe them and keep and suppress that Moro reflex is enormous. So this is the Swaddle Up. This is actually one of the designer collection, and this is what we're giving away at the prize today. So we're going to give away 3 Swaddle Ups. You get your choice of the Swaddle Up in the designer collection or the 50-50. So depending on the age of your baby, and the 50-50, I think we have it in gray, pink, and white. I'm not sure. It's the regular collection. The arms zip off in the 50-50. This is how you can release an arm at a time, allow the baby to transition from swaddling to arms free and more of a traditional sleep sack. All right, so if you love the swaddle up and you want to win one today, what you need to do is let's get some hearts going across the screen. I need to see love and hearts on this post, and just comment here in the chat and tell me what you love about Love to Dream. And also, of course, we have a word for the day that will send you a link so you can enter to win. Check out the Swaddle Ups and Love to Dream, as well as Rebecca, our private group. Everything's in there so you won't miss a thing. Please just type the word win right now in the comment. Just type the word win. I actually have a little reminder. Of course I do. Type the word win now. I don't know. I just love doing that, Rebecca. Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm really technical here, right?
It looks impressive.
Yes, you guys will all get the link, okay? And that will help you get entered to win. There is a link on there that says enter here to win, all right? When you type the word win, later when you go to your messenger and you see my message, you actually have to type the word win again. It's like a second opt-in that lets it know that you actually wanted to do that and you want to get my message. Okay, so you got to type the word win twice. I think there's been a little bit of confusion. You guys are getting used to it though. So, all right, fantastic. Oh my gosh, look at all these comments here. Yay, win, 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 win. Okay, and then we also have, should we show the video?
Yes.
Okay, here's a quick video. Let's do a video, okay? The video is going to show you the difference between a regular swaddle and the swaddle up. And I love this. So hold on a second. Let's bring it in here. Okay. There we go. All right, so there you see it. There you have it. Yeah, you could see the difference between trying to swaddle a baby with a traditional swaddle blanket and the difference between using the swaddle up, which was strictly a zipper. And I know it seemed like they were really fussing with that blanket, but new moms and dads, they really do fuss with it.
Oh God, yeah, that was quick. I remembered me trying to swaddle in a sheet, and it was literally 20 minutes of me sort of like, it was like trying to fold a fitted sheet, but it was trying to fold a baby in a fitted whilst folding up a fitted. It was just dreadful. It was awful.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes they're great. It's easier to do when they're small, but as they start to get a little stronger, big wiggle, little Houdinis, and they get out. And beyond just not being able to soothe them when their arms keep getting out all night long, it's a dangerous situation because now you got loose blankets, you know, so you just don't know when your baby is going to be at that stage where they can get out. The blankets are now loose, can cover their face. And not to mention the fact that especially in the summer months, like right now, wrapping your baby in a blanket, you could be creating 4 or 5 layers on a child where you're overheating. And that's one of the things I've said.
That was 3 layers that the traditional swaddle had, 3 layers compared to just the one.
Yeah.
And you have to think that each of those layers is trapping air. And that would be really, really warm for for your child. Really, really well, especially now in the summer. That, yeah, you've really got to be mindful of overheating this time of year.
Even now at this time of year, they make a summer light, which is super, super thin. And if it really is hot where you are, truly all they need is a diaper. You could put a diaper on them and then just zip them right into this, and they don't need any extra layers if you really are concerned about it being too warm. So fantastic, fantastic product. One other thing that came up when I was recently with Love to Dream, and we were talking to a group of midwives, and we were talking about the idea that one other benefit about the swaddle up and having the hands here is that one of the ways that we know that our babies are ready to eat, one of the early signs and hunger cues that we look for is hands to mouth. Okay, so we're not waiting till the baby cries in order to know that they are ready to eat. We want to get those cues early. Crying is a late stage of hunger. When you have your baby swaddled with their arms down, it's very easy to miss those signs because you're not seeing them start to put their hands to mouth and start rooting, where the swaddle up will allow you to get those early feeding cues even while the baby's being secure and snug. So I love that, of course, being a lactation consultant, that I'm thinking about feeding and hunger cues and all those other things. So one more benefit of the Love to Dream, right?
Another benefit of the Love to Dream is that it's much easier to transition out of, because your child is in that much more natural position. If their arms have been pinned down to their sides, trying to get out of the swaddle, can be really, really challenging. But if they're already in that position, then it's much easier to transition them out of. I've actually worked with families who've gone from a traditional swaddle. We've then gone to the swaddling in the Love to Dream in our mission to get out of the swaddle. So even you can use it as a transitional, but it just kind of saves you, because if you're already using it, because it's just much easier to get out of. So much easier to get out of.
Totally. All right. Awesome. I think Miranda's still here, but I don't think she means to be. I don't think she turned off her camera, but I'm not going to. Yes. I don't think you did, sweetheart. I'm still. All right. I'm going to assume that you just forgot here. All right. So let's talk about, let's do another question, then we'll come back for the second prize. Okay. The next question came in from Kimberly. And Kimberly said, I've never pumped with my first child. I breastfed her for 2 years without any bottles or pumps. However, I'm thinking that this time I would like help with night feeds. So I'd like to gradually start pumping when my child is born in order to have a stash for dad to help out. Any advice on this? I don't want to create an oversupply since I will be staying home and nursing on demand the majority of the time. Thank you. Okay, so here's going to be my advice about this, Kimberly, and I totally get it. Like, it's exhausting. You'd love to be able to sleep through the night. You'd love to be able to let dad get up and feed the baby while you sleep through those feedings. The problem with this is that those nighttime feedings, especially in the first few months, are super important. I mean, you're not going to be able to sleep through the night anyway. So the thought of like pumping after you feed during the day, creating enough stash so you can sleep through the feedings, and your breasts are going to wake you up. Okay. So the middle of the night is when you have a lot of milk, and those are important feeds. And it actually helps to regulate your milk supply through the rest of the day. It helps your prolactin levels throughout the rest. It's when your prolactin's the highest is at night. And so those feedings in the middle of the night are very important. And I just don't see a possibility of being able to sleep and, maintain a good milk supply, be able to pump enough during the day where you will be able to sleep through those feedings. So here's what I recommend, because I do get the reason that you're asking it. Even though I'm giving you an answer you might not like, I do get the reason you're asking. As the baby gets a little older, and I would say it's not going to be in the first 6 weeks, but maybe after that, if you wanted to pump a feeding so you could sleep through a feeding, the one that I would choose is late evening. And I'm talking like after 8 o'clock. So in other words, you feed the baby at the breast all day. You pump some milk, maybe, throughout the day to collect up a bottle's worth of milk. And then you eat dinner, you feed the baby, and you go to bed. And you let dad stay up with the baby into that late evening feeding, like 11 o'clock, 10, 11, 12 o'clock feeding. And you skip that feeding. Okay. And again, this is not from the beginning. This is later on, after 6 weeks minimum. Okay. You skip that evening feeding, let dad feed the baby, and then let dad go to bed. Possibly he's going to work the next day. So it's a good time for him to spend some time with the baby and then get the sleep. And then you wake up for the next feeding, whether that's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and do the feedings during the night. This way you get a nice long stretch, okay? You could sleep from 8 to 2. That's a long stretch, and it doesn't have to be the nighttime. It could just be a good stretch so you feel like a human being. So you can feel like you could, get that stretch that you need in a couple hours of sleeping through. I've recommended that to so many of my clients, so many of my patients. It's worked well for them, and it has the least impact on their milk supply.
Yeah, that's what I suggest doing as well for families is just that first feed of the night. Have your partner do that first feed of the night, and you go to bed crazy early. It doesn't mean you're doing it every single night. You may do it just sort of every other night, even once a week. But even sleeping from 8 until 2, you will wake up and feel like $1 million. You'll feel like you spent a week at a spa, just getting that stretch. It's actually something that my husband and I did from about when our youngest daughter was about 3 months old. We did that every night. We took it in turns, staying up that later. We took it in turns. One of us would go to bed earlier. One of us would stay up later. I would pump after the last feed of the night, and then potentially I'd go straight to bed, and he'd have the milk for that first feed.
Yeah.
And we did this for months. Worked great, and it just meant that I was able to, we were able to trade off with those earlier nights. Worked really well. It didn't hurt my supply at all.
Totally. And then there's some babies who do sleep through the night at a certain point. You don't even know, Kimberly, this baby may be different than your last. You may find that, by 2 months old, they're sleeping long stretches at night. You really don't know the answer, but don't interfere with those first 6 weeks or 8 weeks of milk supply. You're really establishing things during that time. And I do not recommend changing that. Nighttime feedings are important, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And so should we show them the next prize?
Yes.
Okay. So the next prize, some of you have seen this, it's like this, when one tiny little simple product can make all the difference in the world. This is just one of those. And I have been working with Breast Support Pillow, Anita and Nadia from there, the inventors, the founders of this product for years and years and years. I used to sell it in my store and in my learning center. But it is a product that really helps with positioning and helps moms to have more of a hands-free experience with nursing. You've seen pillows that are breastfeeding pillows where the baby lays on it. Obviously, we're not laying the baby on this pillow. We're laying our breast on this pillow. So this is a breast support, because I see people all the time commenting about this and they're like, well, I have one. I'm like, no, you don't. Unless it's this one, you don't have one, because there is nobody else who does this, okay? This is a breast support. Well, it's made out of memory foam. I don't know if you could see it here, but when you compress this foam, you can then slide this underneath your breast and release, and it expands up to hold the breast in position, okay? Here's a picture of it. You could see it a little bit better than me describing it. Where's a better picture here? Bigger, okay? All right, so this is how the breast gets held up with the pillow. If you can see it there, it's underneath her breast, that white thing underneath her breast. All right, these are obviously really important to size properly. And I'm gonna just say that if it's one thing to talk about with getting your breast support pillow is make sure that you're sizing it properly, because as you can see, if it's not sized properly, it's gonna extend out too much or not enough support. And they do come in multiple sizes from small to extra large. And here's the difference. This is a small and this is an extra large. So you can see they're really different because we're all different. Our breasts are different. You may need to have a different one on each side depending on the size of your breasts. And it may change. And this is another thing, it may change over time. You could start off with one, you're engorged, your breasts are larger, you get to that 6-month mark, your baby's eating solids, the breasts shrink down a little bit, and now the pillow all of a sudden doesn't seem to be feeding the right way. It's because your breasts changed. Just like you might have to get new bras, you may need a new breast support pillow, but it is well worth it, okay? As far as sizing, they do on their website, they do have it by cup, but I would recommend measuring according to their measurements, because sometimes we size ourselves wrong. So we think we're a cup, when we're actually a D cup. Just saying. We're going to actually do a whole episode on bra fitting. But I think I'm going to do it in my private group. So if you're not part of that, make sure you join. We're going to do bra fittings coming up soon. But back to breast support pillow. Fantastic product. If you type the word win right now, you will be able to get that message from me, and then you can enter to win. Please tell me why you want one of these, why you would love it, how it would help you, like and love this post, and give them love, okay? Go over and give a love to Anita and Breast Support Pillow over on her Facebook page and her Instagram. Breathe. Whew. I can hear him going. Me talking fast. All right. So funny. Okay, Rebecca, sleep question. Okay.
Yay.
Let's do another sleep question here. So this question came in from, let's see, where am I? Rebecca a question from Rebecca.
And it wasn't me. Yeah, it wasn't.
From Rebecca to Rebecca. Okay.
Yeah.
Rebecca said, my almost 9-month-old is still nursing every 2 hours from noon and night. 2 weeks ago, my husband was hospitalized with a massive heart attack.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So sorry, Rebecca. Hope everything's okay.
Yeah.
And I stayed every day and night by his side for 4 days. I pumped at night, and my mother-in-law gave my little guy so I could nurse during the day. Brought my little guy so I could nurse during the day. Since I've been home, my little will start out in his cot in our room, wake 2 hours into bedtime, nurse, then fall back asleep. But he proceeds to nurse all night long. I can't even roll over because he wants to be on my breast. How can I gently break this? My sleep is extremely poor because he is in the bed and I cannot relax, worrying I may roll on him. But when I try to unlatch him and place him in his cot, he ends up crying until he is back on the breast. Note, we came home from the hospital Sorry, it went on to the next page. He weaned off his pacifier completely and refuses to take it. Help, I'm one tired and sad to say, but one grouchy mama.
Yeah.
I bet everything's okay for her.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a lot going on. And there's a lot going on. And that's potentially why he's needing to be kind of attached to you all night. He was having that time away. And I think you completely did the right thing. You were with your partner as they were recovering. You totally did the right thing. And so this is all a big emotional upheaval for your entire family. And your child will most certainly be picking up on that. And he's needing comfort. The way he's getting comfort is by being latched on and is by nursing. You have to remember, and I'm sure Shari will agree with this, that breastfeeding is not just about food and any feed. It's not just about food. It's so much of that comfort and love and touch and support. And so I think that we were away for some nights. It's great that you were able to pump and he had some milk there. Excellent. But now I think that it's just with all this that's going on, I think he's just really needing to be with you. And so I wouldn't so much as, to be honest, what I would say is just kind of accept that this is how it's going to be for the next week or so, rather than seeing this as an issue that you've got to fix. Then that's kind of another problem that you're having to deal with right now. You've already got your plate is overflowingly full. So don't add something else to it. But what I would do is make sure that the environment is safe. So making sure that the bed is safe. So that means that he's between a wall and a bed rail and you don't have any loose covers or pillows, excuse me, that the space is really, really safe. If you are nursing him, then when you actually see a mother and an infant in bed together, the mother sort of cocoons the child as she's nursing. So I really would, unless you're taking any medication or you're drinking, then actually I think that you'll be better off with some bed sharing for the moment. Then you're going to be able to, when sort of things have calmed down a little, you're going to be able to then move back to transitioning to having him in his space. But there's so much going on emotionally that he's suddenly picking up on that. If you know, whether you sort of think of how much is he picking up on this, he's picking up on it. And so I just think it would be easier for everybody if you just wait a little bit. In a week's time, things will be different, and then you can work on getting back on track.
Yeah, it's really hard when the routine changes, and babies pick up on all the stress too. So obviously, a really stressful situation. I'm assuming things are going well and better, and so I'm happy to hear that for you. But Rebecca, it can be really difficult. It's sort of like, the baby knows there's something going on. The baby reaches you for that comfort, the reassurance that things are okay, that things are normal, even if it's on a very, energetic level, they do feel it. They do feel
Totally. Yeah, totally. They will totally pick up on any anxiety that you have.
it.
As you know, if your child is sleeping, going down like a dream, sleeping through the night, and if something, you've had an argument with somebody, and then you try and go and put your child down for the night, it's going to be very, very different. They're going to pick up on this, that you're feeling anxiety, you're feeling anxious. They're going to pick up on it, and they're not going to be able to sleep, because if you're feeling anxious, then they want, what's going on? What is this something that we need to that I need to be worried about? And this goes back sort of for a really long way of this sort of as basic instincts of children being able to pick up on parents' sort of feelings and the way that we're feeling just through body language and temperature and all sorts of things. And again, it's one of these things that's kept the human race going, is the fact that if the parents are panicking because we need to leave wherever we are because we have a tiger is going to eat us, then that sort of it's from that the baby is ready then to hop out of there as well. So it's just a real sort of basic instinct that we have, and so just kind of accepting it and then moving on sometimes is just the best thing to do. It really, really is.
Mm-hmm. And we're not talking forever, but it could be a couple 2 weeks, just trying to give the baby what they need.
Yeah.
And who was here? Alicia asked, would this be the same for sickness? My baby's sick and doing the same thing as Rebecca's. Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's sick, needing comfort, wanting you. And it's just not the time to be turning away or trying to change routines or trying to get them to do something different. It's just not the time.
Not at all. Whenever you're dealing with a sickness or an illness or teething or anything going on, you're always going to take a few steps back with sleep. Because just think, when you have a cold or you have the flu or whatever, you wake up more at night. Sometimes you'll just completely sleep like a log. Sometimes you may take something and you sleep like a log, but sometimes, more often than not, you're waking up, you're coughing, you're just congested, you're waking up more often. And then and this is as an adult, it's frustrating. It really makes you mad. You can imagine being little, not knowing why you can't breathe through your nose, not knowing why you're coughing. What the hell is a cough? You don't know any of these things, and it's even more frustrating. And that's then when you're reaching to your comfort, which is your parents. This is the people there who are your caregivers, the people there who are caring for you. And so it's completely normal for a child to need way more help during the night. When you're sick, when I'm sick, I just want everybody to leave me alone. I've been sick this last weekend, really sick. And I was just like, please, everyone, just don't touch me. Don't talk to me.
And then I was
please,
texting you.
And then Shari's texting me continuously. And you just want to be left alone.
Like a big baby.
He's just a big baby. And so, but then children don't want that. They want the opposite.
Question I want to answer. On that note. Sorry.
On that note, over to Shari, over to the big baby.
That's okay. I'm just a baby. I need my attention from you, Rebecca. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you do.
Oh my God. All right, wait. I have a couple questions here that are super important that I want to get to, and I know this time is going really, really fast. But a couple of really important things. This one came from Erin, and she says she has she has a 6, almost 7-week-old. She's exclusively pumping bottle feeding. He is taking approximately 3 ounces per feeding at the moment. She's wondering how to know how much he should be taking from here on. I think I heard you say something about 4 ounces total until weaning, but I can't remember for sure. And I'm needing clarification on that if possible. Also, will he continue eating every 2 to 3 hours until solids start? I'm just so lost on how much and how I'm going to keep up with his supply and demand. Great question. Yeah. I'm going to pop up a little image that I created a while ago. Okay, this shows the amount of milk it's just giving you a little graphic of how much a baby actually eats. And it's so interesting because I'm gonna make that solo so you can see it. It's really so interesting because the concern and the worry and the fear that moms have that they're not going to make enough. When I show this little illustration here of how much you actually make and how much how much the baby eats, not how much you make, but how much the baby eats according to the stage that they're at. And the first bottle here just shows you a representation of a baby's on day one, pretty much how much they're taking per feeding. And that's about a teaspoon, 5 cc's, little bits of colostrum, okay? You can see that there's such a small amount. And usually when I show this to moms and dads, it just alleviates that fear and that worry and concern that, oh, I need to make that much from both breasts at a feeding. I can do that.
I could probably do that.
I've had dads say, I think I could do that. It's just so little, but that's where we get that concentrated colostrum. That's just so important for the baby. Number 2 here on day 3, you can see it's about a ½ an ounce, very small amounts they're taking per feeding. Okay, and day 10, around 1½ to 2 ounces, not large amounts. This is per feeding. They're eating frequently, and it's important for me to stress that these are frequent feedings, but they're little bits at a time. That's how a breastfed baby eats. And then somewhere around 6 weeks, they max out at around 4 ounces, sometimes 3 ounces, sometimes 4 ounces, sometimes 5. Again, this is all dependent on how, your baby, on your milk, because everybody's milk is different. So it depends, but that's about the right amount. I would say babies will not eat 7, 8, 9 ounces at a feeding from the breast, okay, typically. So this is, I just want to put that fear aside, because when you compare this to formula-fed feedings, formula babies, formula-fed feedings, we're talking about 8, 9 ounce bottles, all right? And that's what moms see. And then it gets very intimidating that they've got to fill this bottle. And that's just not the case, all right? So what you said here about, is it about 4 ounces? Yeah, that's about a typical feeding. And the way to calculate that, Erin, is to think of about a baby's eating about 1 to 1¼ ounces per hour over a 24-hour period. So imagine that depending on how stretched apart your feedings are, that's how much they're eating at a feeding. So if the feedings are close together, maybe they're eating 2, 2½ ounces per feeding. If the feedings are a little more stretched out and you have a bigger breast capacity, which means you can hold more milk in the breast at one time, and your baby can hold more milk in their belly at one time, they may go 3, 4 hours and they may be getting 3, 4, or even 5 ounces at a feeding. It all depends on how stretched apart those feedings are. Okay. That being said, when you're pumping it into a bottle and now you've got to decide how much are you going to put into that bottle, make sure that you're pacing those feedings. And what I mean by that is slow, controlled feedings where you give the baby an opportunity to slow down, to tell you if they're still hungry. You're not just pouring it into them. Remember, at the breast, they can control the flow. You can't force a baby to latch at the breast when they're done. You just can't. You can't force them to drink. They can keep latching and sucking and control the flow and stop the flow. And you've seen babies, you can see your baby doing this when they're nursing just to suck. They can do that. With a bottle, it's impossible to do. So once that bottle goes in the mouth, the bottle's tipped up. If they suck and they have that strong sucking need, they will continue to swallow and you can very easily overfeed them. All right. So 1 to 1¼ ounces per hour. Calculate that out. Do your little math there. Okay. Your breastfeeding math and figure out how much is your baby approximately taking per feeding, and leave a little extra, when you're trying to figure it out. If you're thinking it's around 3, maybe go for 3½, 4, and do the paced feeding till someone can report back to you and say, oh, when I do the slow feeding, they're really only taking 3 ounces. We saved that extra ounce. That'll give you a good idea. And remember, just when you get that figured out, it will change because they'll go through a growth spurt and then they'll need more but not really much more than that 1 to 1¼ ounce per hour. All right. Yes. Okay. Fantastic. All right. I wanted to get that in because that's a really good, it's important. And I think it's one of the biggest things, Rebecca, that leads moms to feel that they have a low milk supply, or that somehow they're not going to be enough to feed their baby. And it's I think it's probably the most common, I would say the most common concern among breastfeeding moms is that they're not making enough.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah,
it can't be that all these women just can't, genetically, they just can't make enough milk. That's not what's happening. So much of low milk supply is about perception, perceived low milk supply, not knowing, like Erin, perfect. And I see you here. You're welcome, sweetheart. Asking this question, getting the right answer to it, learning what you need to learn, hopefully before your baby even comes, so that you're ready for that first 1 day illustration, and that, so you're not having those major worries and concerns. And so much of low milk supply is really perception, versus true. It really, you can have a low milk supply, but to have that from some kind of a medical condition is rare, is much rarer than what we're made to think. So
great. No, that's super helpful. That picture is really, really helpful. It really is, because if you're seeing pictures, any picture or anything that you see of somebody feeding a baby with a bottle, it's full. It's like overflowingly full. And that's a hell of a lot of milk. And as well, another thing you got to remember is you have a tiny baby, their tummy, their stomach is tiny. If you're trying to cram 9 ounces in there, it's going to overflow. And that means basically you're wearing it. You're basically wearing it, because you have to think of the capacity that their stomach can hold is tiny. It's really tiny.
Totally. And I see that Alexis commented here, and undiagnosed, misdiagnosed ties. Yeah, there are 3 different types of low milk supply issues. There's perceived, which is you really don't have a low milk supply issue, but if you think you do, okay, that's the most common milk supply issue, is the perceived milk supply issue. Then there are real milk supply issues, low milk supply issues, and they fall into categories of like a primary issue or a secondary issue. And what that means is a secondary issue is one that was caused by something. Okay, so in the case of a tongue tie, yes, it's a medical condition. You didn't do that. Okay, it was not your fault. But because of the baby's inability to latch to the breast properly, to drain the breast, and to extract milk properly because of those ties, it has a secondary effect on your supply. And so early diagnosis, accurate and proper treatment of the ties can prevent those low milk supply issues from happening or help to turn them around. Okay, so that's a secondary issue. Same would be like early supplementation when it wasn't necessary. So those ideas of baby's not getting enough, baby's crying, maybe the baby's hungry, even though there's wet diapers, and we start supplementing. It's a secondary low milk supply issue where we're causing it by something we're doing. Okay, the primary issues would be more like insufficient glandular tissue. Okay, or hormonal issues, thyroid issues, things that cause you to just not make enough from a medical perspective. And those can sometimes be treated as well. Sometimes it's something that can be helped, sometimes it can't, and there requires supplementation. So understanding what kind of low milk supply issue you have, and then how to properly address it so that you can still continue to breastfeed is the most important thing. And typically, if you have that question, you should see an IBCLC to help you diagnose that properly. It's very hard to do on your own usually. And I see it all the time, posting into Facebook to try to get advice. Not everybody's going to have all the right answers for you. Somebody needs to be evaluating you. Really important to get the professional support if you think you have low milk supply. It's important. It's how you're feeding your baby. It's short-term health, it's long-term health, it's all of it. And so nothing could be more important than to get that support if you think there's a problem. And the best answer, and this happens all the time when I have moms come for consultation, or I do them over Skype or whatever it is, for my answer to be that your low milk supply is a perceived issue. That's the best answer I could give you, right? That means there's nothing wrong and you're doing a great job. So I love when I can diagnose you with a perception issue, give you a little education, teach you, and reassure you that your body is enough, that you're doing fine. And yes, Stephanie, my class on low milk supply is so helpful. If you want to hear about this for another like 2 hours, you can go watch my low milk supply course. You could just listen to me talking about this for 2 hours straight. That's basically what it's about, right?
And this brings it full circle to what we were saying when we started, that there's our main concerns when we give birth are feeding, sleep, and poop.
That's right.
It just completely brings it now full circle, doesn't it? That yes, it's really, really common to feel that you're not producing enough because your child is going to go through growth spurts, or they're not going to poop. And that's another thing. Babies, and now we're talking about poop again, but babies will not potentially poop for 3 or 4 days. And you just think, well, maybe they're not getting enough. If they're not getting enough, then that's why they're not pooping.
Right.
And then when it comes to, then with sleep, yes, sleep can be this sort of big, huge traumatic thing if your child is an amazing non-sleeping baby, which is what we called my eldest when she was a newborn, the amazing non-sleeping baby. And it's just this, so it brings it full circle. Everything that we've kind of talked about is the same sort of thing. It's just the stress that we have as parents and as mothers, especially as mothers, is feeding, sleep, and poop.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh, I'm seeing questions popping up here. There's still so much going on here in the chat. Should we do another question, Rebecca?
Yes, but remember the game does start in 3 minutes.
Okay, I will be quick. Oh my. Okay, there was a question here. Okay, this one came in from Summer. She said her little one is 3 weeks old this Tuesday. For some reason, she isn't able to latch as good as before, and she isn't eating as much. But she has about 8 to 10 big wet diapers in a day.
Woo.
And about 6 to 8 dirty diapers in a day.
Oh, there we go. Poop again.
Is this okay? I try to wake her every 2 to 3 hours to nurse because she loves her naps.
Wow. So she is not an amazing non-sleeping baby.
She's the opposite.
She is an amazing sleeping baby.
Amazing sleeping baby. And isn't it funny how here we have a baby that wants to sleep, that's peeing and pooping enormous amounts, and mom is still worried.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you that no matter which direction we worry about our children, no matter what's happening, we worry because we're good moms, and we question and we care. And that's actually a good sign that she's asking these questions. But let me reassure Summer here that your little one is 3 weeks old. She's got 8 to 10 big wet diapers and 6 to 8 wet dirty diapers in a day, and she likes to sleep. Okay. If she isn't able to latch as good as she did before, and she isn't eating as much, what it means is, here's what I'm envisioning in my mind. Your milk supply is great. Okay. You have established the supply. The baby is eating well, and obviously taking in quite a bit of milk to get that much output. And the fact that she's eating not as often does not mean she's not eating as much. And so let's make the distinction here between how often and how much are two totally different quantities or two different things. They're not the same. A baby can take in a lot more and a lot faster. So not eating as often and not eating for as long of not sucking for as much time is what we see happening as they get older. The feedings actually get shorter and shorter. They stretch out and they get shorter and the baby takes more. So it's the opposite of what you think. All right. So I would not relate to those longer stretches between feedings or shorter feedings as they're not taking as much. Then feeding maybe 5 minutes and the whole thing is over. And then she's pooping and peeing. That's what you're looking for. Okay. If it's coming out, it went in.
It's gone in. Yeah.
It's gone in. If you're not giving the baby anything else and that's all they're doing, then it's going in, and that's
something right is going on there.
Something very right is going on there, except your worry. So let's just get the worry out of the way here. You're going to count those wet diapers. As long as you're getting 6 to 8 in 24 hours, as long as the baby's having some poopy diapers, especially at 3 weeks old, we should see pooping diapers. Okay. Then the baby is gaining weight, even if it's slow. Okay. And sleeping in between feedings and then waking normally to feed. I would not worry at all. I would not worry at all.
No.
Yeah.
Everything sounds good. And remember, it's all going to change. Just as you said, so now you've got this advice from Shari, you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is, okay, you're comfortable with it. Tomorrow, it's probably going to be completely different.
Totally.
Tomorrow, she'll go through a growth spurt, and then she'll just be latched on the entire day and wide awake.
Well, and that could be what happened, is that, you know, the baby went through a growth spurt. The growth spurts happen at 2 to 3 weeks. And so possibly last week, the baby was nursing very frequently. You felt the sucking harder because the baby was sucking harder to get every latch drop out, which is what happens during a growth spurt. So you felt like the latch was better. Today, you've rebounded with all this milk. So the feedings are more stretched out. They're not lasting as long. And the baby's basically opening their mouth and it's pouring in. So you're feeling like their latch isn't as good when actually it's not as necessary. It all makes sense to me, Summer, and I'm just happy for you because, again, perceived issue, no issue.
Yeah.
Perceived issue, no issue. Never got to show you the burping video, but Rebecca has to go. Sorry, guys.
It's my fault.
Posted it in the private group. If you want to watch my burping video, it's
a really good video. I think I oftentimes will send it to clients of mine. Oftentimes it's a really, really good video. Really good.
Really good video. So go over you know what, Stephanie, let's post the burping video, not just in a comment in the group like we did today. Let's post it as a post so that everybody can see it. And if you want to watch it, go over to my private group. It's the My Baby Experts community. If you're not part of it, please come join us. We'd love to see you there. And you just need to answer a couple questions. We'll let you in, and then we'll have the videos ready for you. Okay. Rebecca, thank you so much for another wonderful episode.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure.
I hope your game goes well today.
Oh my gosh, me too.
And for everybody here, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Love to Dream. Thank you, Breast Support Pillow. Thank you, Joe. And thank you guys. Love you so much. We'll see you soon. Mwah!
Bye.
Have a good rest of your day.